Boomertown is memes, guns, politics, and culture war commentary. Prepping, Fallout New Vegas, pegleg chicks, the voice acting industry, conspiracy theories, and an old man's angry rants. I'm your host, the Melancholy Walrus, so sit back, shut up, hold on, make sure mommy and daddy sign those field trip permit slips, because I'm about to take you to Boomertown. Well, look what the cat dragged in. If it isn't you, my pathetic Instagram follower, you make me sick! Are you ready for the long-awaited Boomertown podcast? Because this is it, baby! Episode number 1. This is the good shit. You better believe I'm fucking prepared, man. I didn't just throw this shit together 5 minutes before turning this mic on. What do you think, I'm nuts? You think I would go into this extremely important excursion in my underwear in the basement of my fallout shelter in Montana? You fool. What would lead you to believe such an insane conclusion? I'm the epitome of mental health, my N-word. All right, enough of the bullshitting. I'd like to thank a very dear friend of mine for helping me write that intro. Well, not helping me write it. She actually wrote it. But yeah, I like it. It's good for episode 1. Let's wind things down a little bit. Let me just be me. So, my name's the Melancholy Walrus. Yes, that's my birth name. Now you know why I have so much animosity towards my mother, even in my old age. Just kidding. You can call me Walrus. I run an Instagram account. Used to have 40-something thousand, then I got banned late last summer. Started over. I think I'm up to like 500,000 now. Just kidding. I wish. Anyway, who cares? Who cares about followers? That's not what this is about. I'm just trying to explain to you people who I am, for those of you. But actually, in reality, if you don't know me from Instagram, you're probably not going to be listening to this, at least not episode 1. Let's be realistic here. But yeah, you can call me Walrus. You can call me Jake. Anything other than that is subject to banning you at my discretion. That's how it works. That's how Mafia works. So yeah, people who've been following me on Instagram for a while know that this podcast is actually a project about a year in the making. I think I publicly announced it about 6 months ago, and I was ready to go. I had all my equipment set up because by day I'm a professional voice actor, so I have all the, it's not like I needed any additional equipment or anything to do a podcast. I just didn't have any experience, didn't know what the hell I was doing as far as podcasts go. I don't even listen to podcasts, to be honest with you. I really don't. Like, I listened to Cumtown, a couple of episodes. I really like them. That's actually kind of where the name Boomertown, Cumtown, Boomertown came up with. Or, we came up with that name. I came up with that name. Anyway, where was I? But yeah, I was ready to go back in like August or early September of 2018. Then all of a sudden, I made an account for it, Instagram account, and started like heavily promoting it from my main account, the Melancholy Walrus. And then all of a sudden, like, my whole life kind of fell apart all at once. Like, major, huge things happened that I won't really go into detail about. Most of all, or mostly because most of you don't care. Second of all is because I don't really get into my personal life a whole lot, for, whatever reasons. I don't know. But I will tell you that dealt with a death in the family, dealt with hospitalization on my part. Also, I was the victim of a major crime. That's not directly why I went into the hospital. It was mostly something happened. It was crime related to me personally. I wasn't injured or anything like that, but the stress of that incident, that event, basically led me to having to check into the hospital about 3 weeks after it happened. And I was in the hospital, if some of you recall, I was like so stressed out. I was in the hospital for like 4 or 5 days, I think. So then I needed some time to kind of relax and get my bearings, get my life back in order. All the while, I'm still trying to get started in the professional voice acting industry back then. And I just all of a sudden I had absolutely no time to even think about starting up a podcast. I had just a lot on my plate back then. So, I apologize for that. I know I promoted it. A lot of you were waiting for it and expecting it, and then it just didn't happen. That's not really like me to make promises that I don't fulfill. I don't like that. Even if it's just like online Instagram follower type shit. I appreciate that the fact that I have an audience, and I don't like to let you guys down. So anyways, here we are 6 months later, I think. Maybe it's more. I don't know. But here we are, and we're getting started, and this is it. Episode 1. Happy to be here. Happy that you're here listening still, and that you had faith and patience in Old Man Walrus. Anyways, let's try to get back on track, Jake. As anyone who's been following me for a while on Instagram knows, I'll go in and out of character. That kind of is the character, I guess, in a way. I'm so ADHD and kind of retarded in that way. So just bear with me, We'll try to get through this. But yeah, so I've got my computer in front of me. I'm trying to record this shit, and I've got some notes, some bullet points of stuff that I wanted to talk about for the first episode to kind of give you a little taste of what Boomertown can be in the future. So yeah, having said that, let's talk about the Oscars. When was that? Last Sunday? I don't even remember, because who gives a fuck about the Oscars? If you care about the Oscars, you are part of the globo homo problem that has overtaken this country and our society and the world in general. It's just like, who watches that shit? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna care about, which actor gets a big prize? Ooh, who was? Hey, did you see who won the big prize at the Oscars? Yeah, oh yeah. Rami Malek won a big prize at the big prize show, and it was really great. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching all of the actresses and actors in their lovely, fine, elegant dresses walking down the red carpet to receive the big prize at the big prize show. Speaking of actors and dresses, did you see this guy, Billy Porter? I don't even know who the hell Billy Porter is. Never heard of Billy Porter. Looks like a, normal black African-American man. Probably has been in some shows that I've heard of, but frankly, I haven't watched TV since well, I shouldn't say that because I've been to other people's houses and watched TV. I personally have not had cable television since 2011. So, anyways, Billy Porter. Here's a picture of Billy Porter on the red carpet wearing a fucking dress. What are you doing? What are you doing, homie? And here he says, I'm not a drag queen. I'm a man in a dress. Thank you, Billy Porter. Thank you, Billy Porter, for clarifying that, because God forbid a normal person would look at a man in a dress and think that he's a drag queen. In these days, this modern day and age that's so progressive, that's probably enough to get somebody fired from their job or kicked out of college or something like that. Just ridiculous. I want to come back full circle. Who gives a fuck about the Oscars? Who gives a fuck about Billy Porter? It's good for banter and everything. I'm going to sit here and make a podcast and laugh at him, even though the guy's probably making millions of dollars. But that's the whole problem. That's the whole thing, right? This whole Hollyweird, not to get all Alex Jones on you, but this whole Hollyweird culture, it's all run by everybody. It's all run by pedophiles. Now, that's not to say that everybody who works in Hollywood is a pedophile, but when the people who run your industry are just blatant pedophiles, you're going to have this pervasive culture of deviance and just weird, degenerate bullshit just permeating throughout the entire industry. So that's why you have people like Billy Porter who, just want to get their dick sucked by the tabloids and kind of perpetuate this weird, deviant, disgusting culture. And so that they wear dresses and last month I think he was at the Golden Globe Awards and he was wearing like a pink cape. Okay, all right, dude, like you're just doing it for attention, but you want attention, you want to, move your career in that direction. All right, dude, whatever. Like, come on. You're just feeding into this disgusting Hollyweird culture that we all kind of know exists, but in the back of our mind, some more than others, but we, it's not really kosher. You catch that? Not really kosher to talk about it for one reason or the other. And but anyways, yeah. Basically, it's like the SJW equivalent of somebody filming themselves giving money to a homeless person. Like he probably really doesn't want to do that, but he wants the attention. He wants, the tabloids sucking his dick or whatever. So, yeah. And that's what he got, definitely. Thanks to people like you, disgusting people like you who are into the Oscars and Golden Globes and watch that and support that. If that's your thing, whatever. But I don't support you, and you make me sick as an old man. Anyways, enough about Billy Porter, a.k.a. Gay Superman, and enough about you Republicans or conservatives, whatever you want to call yourselves, that support Hollyweird in the award shows. You're probably the type to think that Israel's our greatest ally. So, enough said about that, right? Moving on to other news this week. What the fuck is going on over in India and Pakistan? I'm old enough to know that these guys, by these guys, I mean these two countries, just absolutely hate each other. Like almost on the level of like Palestine and Israel type of hate. These guys hate each other. They've fought major wars in the past. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I think there's been at least 2 or 3 major wars. I'm not a historian or whatever, but I know enough to know that there's some history there, some violent history. So from what little I know, here's kind of the rundown. Sometime around Valentine's Day this year, a jihadist group that is based in Pakistan. I don't know the name of the group. I think I heard somewhere they're Al-Qaeda affiliated, but don't take my word for that. There was a suicide bomber in India, somewhere in northern India, near the border of with Pakistan. I'm actually not sure if it was actually in the disputed Kashmir area that both Pakistan and India claim. Anyway, for sure it was in Indian territory though. So there was a suicide bomber, blew himself up and killed something like 40 Indian military police or some kind of military personnel from the Indian armed forces. Just like obliterated 40 people. They're all dead and everything. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible thing. But, it's your typical jihadi bullshit that Pakistan has been harboring for decades. Pakistan has a real problem with state-sponsored terrorism. Even if they're not directly involved with the terrorism, these guys, whatever you want to believe about, CIA and Al-Qaeda and Bin Laden, we can get into that, deep conspiracy theory type stuff in other episodes. But the fact of the matter is that Pakistan harbors these kind of people, these jihadis, and they're an Islamist country, and they are a nuclear country, and so it's a pretty sticky situation. So you got, anyways, you got this jihadi Al-Qaeda type dude blows himself up, kills a bunch of Indian military people on Indian territory. India's pissed, and rightfully so, right? So what does India do? They scramble, some fighter jets. I think they got MiG-21s or I think it's Pakistan that has the F-16s. But anyway, so they scramble their jets and they put together this mission. And a couple weeks later, they conduct this airstrike in Pakistani-controlled Kashmir area, which is, kind of there's what's called the LOC, which is the line of control, and that's what divides the Kashmir area into the northern part, which is controlled by Pakistan, and the southern part controlled by India. So India crosses the line of control and conducts this airstrike, claiming to kill a jihadist training camp. And so they cross into Pakistani airspace. They conduct this airstrike. Pakistan naturally, fires anti-aircraft guns, surface-to-air missiles, and all of that. They scare these planes away, Indian planes, but apparently they shot one of them down. And there's conflicting reports, and I'm not sure exactly what happened yet. You'll have to do your own research, which I fully encourage you to do on any topic that I talk about on these podcasts, by the way. Anyways, Pakistan says that Indian Air Force jets dropped their bombs as they were skedaddling, as they were running away, and didn't hit the target. And India refutes that and says that they hit the training camp, killed a bunch of terrorists or whatever. At any rate, Pakistan downs at least one of the Indian planes, and it looks like, I saw videos on Twitter. It looks like they've actually captured one of the Indian pilots, and they're holding him hostage, or prisoner of war or whatever, of course. But yeah, this is a serious situation. Both countries, both Pakistan and India, are nuclear armed countries, sorry. And they, like I said before, they hate each other. This could turn really, really bad really, really quickly. And, there's a lot of people saying, so whose side are we on? The mudslimes or the street shitters? And, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Naturally, I think I kind of side with India on this. Just because Pakistan is they harbor all kinds of just jihadi bullshit terrorists. They hid bin Laden for years and years. You can't tell me that the Pakistani intelligence agencies or whatever didn't know that bin Laden was there. We know that they knew that bin Laden was there. But anyway, like I said before, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, a lot of people have been joking around on 4chan and Twitter and whatnot saying, God, let's hope that there's a nuclear holocaust between Pakistan and India, because, taking out 1 billion people in India with nukes would be much more beneficial for the earth and a lot cheaper in the long run than any kind of Green New Deal that Ocasio-Cortez and her crew in D.C. could ever hope to come up with. It'd be like a socialist wet dream, I, for one, would be happy. I wouldn't have to drive a Prius. Not that I drive a Prius, but if these socialists in D.C. get their way, I may have to get a Prius. And Lord knows I'll have to get rid of all of my herds of cattle because they're just so terrible for the ozone layer and the earth and whatnot. But yeah, so keep the walrus from having to drive a Prius and get rid of his enormous surplus herds of cattle. Let's keep our fingers crossed for nuclear holocaust in India. All right. Just kidding, obviously. Moving right along. What else we got this week? A lot of stuff happened this week. Oh man. Okay. So, about what's going on in Venezuela, right? The uprising, the socialist dictator guy, Maduro, his country's just gone to shit. Venezuela is just a shithole, and it's mostly this guy's fault. And there's this opposition leader, Guaido, who has a lot of support from a lot of the people, and you got Colombia, who supports Guaido, and the U.S. Trump supports Guaido and Colombia, and anyways, it's going to be a lot of action there in the next couple of weeks. So, regardless of what your personal opinion, regardless of what my opinion is about the political situation in Venezuela, I think we can all laugh at something that happened just a couple of days ago there. So, you got Jorge Ramos, who's a journalist. I believe he's Mexican. He's a naturalized U.S. citizen, but I believe he's from Mexico. Anyways, he works for Univision, which is a major Spanish television, Spanish language television network based in Miami. And so, yeah, U.S. citizen. He decides he's going to go down to Venezuela with a camera crew, and he's going to interview Nicolas Maduro, the socialist dictator who was like backed into a corner. And he's been making like nonstop propaganda, social media posts, where he's just like flexing with the military nonstop for the last month or whatever. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I've been I was paying a lot of attention to that situation for a couple of weeks. And so Jorge Ramos takes a Univision crew and goes down there to interview him. And, I don't know what this guy Ramos was thinking. He's interviewing Nicolas Maduro. He says some, anti-Maduro things, shows him like images and pictures and videos that he and his crew took while they were in Caracas, Venezuela, the capital. And apparently one of the videos that he showed him, let me back it up a little bit. He was already getting on Maduro's nerves. Let me try to paint a picture here. This guy's, representing American media, Univision, Trump and the U.S. military and the CIA want Maduro out. There is currently a coup going on against Nicolas Maduro to try to ouster him. So, Nicolas Maduro, to his credit, this guy's backed into a corner. This guy knows that at any moment he's going to be assassinated, or, his palace is going to get the shit bombed out of it or whatever. So he lets this guy do an interview. You think Jorge Ramos would be a little more careful about what he says and what he does during this interview with this socialist dictator who's desperate. But no, Jorge Ramos shows him pictures and videos of like Venezuelan kids picking through the garbage, like looking for shit to eat, and starts asking him questions like, what do you think about your policies affecting the economy? And look at these kids, they're eating garbage. And it just, I don't know. I don't know like the whole story, but like, geez, man, I would get pissed too if someone came in and started talking about all that shit. Anyways, I'm rambling here, but to make a long story even longer, Maduro cut the interview short and arrested Jorge Ramos and his television crew, his interview crew. And they were like detained in the presidential palace or wherever the interview was or whatever, and demanded, all their cameras and iPhones, smartphones, iPads, tablets, everything. And they deleted all their videos supposedly or whatever. And it was this big deal. And nobody knew how long they were going to be detained, or if Maduro's administration was going to hold him hostage to try to negotiate something with Trump or with the Colombian government or the opposition government, Juan Guaido. Anyways, it's just like, what an idiot. Jorge Ramos himself is so anti-Trump and has been since the beginning. This guy, being, Mexican, not that all Mexicans are against the wall, but this guy has from the beginning just tried to paint Trump as a racist, bigot, anti-Mexico, anti-this, anti-that, or whatever. And it's just so funny to me that he gets himself in this situation like a retard, and then has to ask the Trump administration's State Department for help in getting him out of this situation where he's detained by Nicolas Maduro. Anyways, eventually I think they were released like the next morning or whatever. He's probably back in the States. I don't really care. He's still an idiot. And this is all really funny to me. But yeah, enough about idiot journalists. Sometimes I think they should all be detained for a couple of days, kind of shake them up a little bit. I'm just kidding, obviously. Sam Hyde moment. Can't help it. What else is going on? Let's see. Jacob Wool. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. I've never even heard of him until like last October or November or whatever, when he was trying to Me Too Robert Mueller, and apparently that didn't work out very well. Anyways, this kid, he's like 20, 21 or something. Smug, conservative, young kid who's trying to get into politics and, just kind of like fucking up everybody's life on Twitter or whatever, trying to. I think he like pals around with like Cernovich and Loomer, like those kind of people. If you're into that sort of thing, that's a topic for another episode. But yeah, these right-wing kind of movers and shakers, or wannabe movers and shakers, if you will. Anyways, he gets permanently suspended this week from Twitter and like a whole bunch of other social media outlets, I think. He's still on Instagram, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, he says that he was banned as a result of his ongoing investigation against Representative Ilhan Omar about how she... This is this Muslim chick out of Minnesota, I think, whatever, newly elected member of Congress. Anyways, she's of Somali origin. And apparently, according to Jacob Wall, in this dossier that he's putting together, which is his insurance policy in case anything, quote, happens to him, apparently she married her brother in order to get U.S. citizenship, otherwise known as green card fraud or immigration fraud. And apparently, allegedly, Jacob Wool and these other people that he pals around with have evidence of this, and they've put together some kind of dossier, and I that's all I really know. And so he threatens that he's gonna, burst the bubble, or is that even a phrase? Burst the, I don't know. Blow the lid. There we go. He's gonna blow the lid on Ilhan Omar and her citizenship fraud and all this bullshit, which could potentially have an impact on whether she's eligible to remain a citizen of the United States and therefore a representative of Congress, a member of Congress. So he's banned from Twitter like immediately after this, and we'll see where that goes. Kind of interesting. He said he was going to deliver his findings on Thursday at the Gaylord Convention Center. Now, if you ask me, there couldn't be a more fitting place for somebody like Jacob Wall to deliver such findings than the Gaylord Convention Center. But yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Moving right along. The bigger picture about this whole situation with Jacob Wall is censorship. All these right-wing people are getting censored and on social media and elsewhere, and that's not cool. Regardless of my personal feelings about Jacob Wall and what he does and how he operates and everything, that's kind of irrelevant. When you look at the big picture of all of this just stupid censorship that's going on, it's so obvious. They're trying to get rid of us. They're trying to get rid and silence the right wing, and it's never really worked in the past without some sort of huge backlash. I don't know what that backlash is going to be, but I know that we're heading in the wrong direction, or at least the left is, if they think they're going to be able to continue this sort of behavior in the long term and get away with it. It's not going to happen. But yeah, there's definitely patterns that we can see with this type of right wing pundit or outspoken figureheads, I guess you could call it, getting silenced and censored, and it's not cool at all. Let's see. So as I was looking into this whole Jacob Wool thing, I noticed a tweet from Owen Schroyer And it kind of ties into this whole thing. The tweet, let's see, he tweeted on February 26th, actually. And let's see, well, that's today. Anyways, so Owen says, Alex Jones was the test case to see if America would accept censoring free speech. We did. Roger Stone was the test case to see if America would accept government raids at gunpoint for political hit squads to take us to jail. We did. What is the next test? Will we accept it? Very, very interesting tweet. And he's right on the money. Let's see. So Stexenhammer replied to Owen's tweet. He says, the current test is to see how many Americans will resist the banking system depersoning people, leading to their outcasting from virtually all commercial society based on their political beliefs. So yeah, there's really, I mean, I don't know how you can argue with that. That's what's going on. You got people like Martina and Laura Loomer, who have been banned from PayPal and Chase Bank, and all these other people getting their bank accounts closed, and otherwise in some other form getting censored or deplatformed or depersoned. Really, if you can't make if this is what you do for a living, and you're not able to get any sort of financial institution to do business with you so that you can receive payment, that's hardcore. That's hardcore censorship, and we're definitely going in the wrong direction in this country if we're going to keep allowing that sort of thing. Everyone always says, when are people going to rise up? People aren't going to rise up until it starts affecting them personally in their day-to-day lives. Well, we're getting to that point. At least some people are. We're getting to that point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and where we go from there. Scary times, people. Stay vigilant. And speaking of staying vigilant and prepared, let's get away from politics for a second. Let's talk about some of the real important stuff in my life, and hopefully in your life too. Anybody can do politics. Anybody can be a, right-wing pundit and talk about, censorship and deplatforming and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's important, but I mean, let's talk about stuff that affects our day-to-day life. It affects my day-to-day life. Stuff that's really important to me, and that's canned bread and canned cheese. So, as many of you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I am a connoisseur of canned goods. And B&M of baked bean fame, they make this really awesome canned brown bread that is it's just, oh my God, it's so succulent. It's so wonderful. It's slightly sweet. It's made with molasses, has the consistency of cornbread, but it's in a can. It has a shelf life of years. Literally, I think it's like 3 or 4 years. That's what it says on the can. And so I'm good with it for 5 at least before I'm going to switch it out. And I've been looking for the perfect companion to this brown bread for quite a while. And I finally found it after some research. If I have any Australian followers, I'm sure you'll recognize this, but I found Bega processed cheese. And it says on here, the Great Australian Cheese. And it comes in a can, a little bit thicker than like a tuna fish can. But oh my goodness, is this stuff good. You ever had that Laughing Cow, like processed cheese spread stuff at the supermarket? It comes in like a circular cardboard container, but inside there's like 6, I think, individual foil wrapped, triangular shaped little packages of cheese. That's what it tastes like. It tastes like that, but you get it in a can, a whole can of it. I think there's I don't know how many ounces 200 grams is. Probably like 8 ounces or something, maybe. I don't know. But you get 200 grams of that, and it's got a shelf life of years. I can't really tell. Let's see. I think it's about 3 years. And this stuff goes great with pilot bread, aka hardtack, which I have a lot of, but also this canned bread from B&M. And it's just it's so succulent. I spread it right on the bread and just chow down, and it is amazing. Kind of expensive though, unless you buy it in bulk. I bought 6 cans of it on Amazon, and I think it ran me about $37, something like that. So roughly around $6 a can. I'm going to try to find it cheaper. Might have to buy just like a shit ton of it in order to get a better price, but we'll see. So yeah, Bega canned cheese. And no, I'm not getting paid for this. This isn't a commercial. I just really love. I really like prepping, and this is some good stuff. So, yeah, lasts a couple years in your pantry or in your prepper emergency secret cache that you keep up in the mountains, or in your cabin, or in your cave, or in my case, my abandoned mine at an undisclosed Southern Nevada location that nobody knows about. But yeah, looks like 100 calories per serving, 6 servings per can, 8 grams of fat, 490 milligrams of sodium. That's a lot of sodium. But let's see, 2 grams of carbs. That ain't that bad. 30 milligrams cholesterol, and 6 grams of protein. Not bad. Oh, and here's the ounces. Yeah, 7.05 ounces to 200 grams. The ingredients include cheddar cheese, which is pasteurized milk, salt, culture, enzyme, water, sodium citrate, butter, salt, sodium phosphate, citric acid, and nisin. The knights who say nisin. I guess that's a preservative of some type. I don't know. And that was an old Monty Python reference, if you Zoomers don't get that, which wouldn't surprise me. But yeah. I'm not going to talk anymore about canned cheese and canned bread, despite the fact that I just know all of you love that topic and want to hear more about it. Let's move on to something else. Let's move on to how hate crime hoaxes are like the gayest thing in the world, and why are there so many of them? Ever since Trump got elected in 2016, there's been literally dozens of these fake hate crimes that have been exposed. Everything from like Muslim university students in Louisiana or something attacking themselves and blaming it on, quote unquote white supremacists, to this the latest one, this Jussie Smollett garbage. What a piece of garbage. I hope that guy rots in jail. I hope he gets his ass beat in jail. Just this, don't fake hate crimes, okay? Don't. you're gonna, not only are you gonna make yourself look like an idiot, but the entire group of people that you think you are representing and protecting, you're making things so much worse off for everybody, and you just look like a fucking retard, as if you didn't already. Keep it to Twitter, SJW type bullshit, but don't fuck with people's actual real lives. I can't stand this kind of shit. This stuff makes me so mad. It's hard to even talk about it. Apparently just recently, I think this week, there's another hate crime hoax that's been exposed in Michigan. Some gay rights activist dude set fire to his own home and blamed it on, anti-LGBT barbecue people or whatever, otherwise known as normal people like you and me. Like this isn't 1960s. This isn't 1960s Alabama. This shit doesn't really happen anymore. We've all kind of moved on from that. But these people keep wanting to gain more and more power. And these days, if you want to gain power, you have to be seen as a victim. The collective victimization of certain groups and demographics is a very powerful thing politically. That's the driving force of politics these days, at least in America, is identity politics. And the problem with that is that when you wield the weapon of victimization, you're almost invincible. And so yeah, I mean, this is just really sad. Let's see. Authorities are accusing Jolie, I guess that's the guy's last name, who was named Citizen of the Year by the Jackson Citizen Patriot last year, of setting fire to his own home and killing his pets, 2 dogs and 3 cats. That's disgusting. What a fucking psychopath. You know, you're going to tell me these people are mentally stable? This is the kind of shit that they pull in order to consolidate power and influence for the groups that they represent. And it's really sad, but more than sad, it's sickening, and it should make everybody as pissed off about it as I am, because you got to stop this shit. It's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. So why don't you just knock it the fuck off, you N-words and homos? Jeez. You too, Rabbi Sheckelstein. All right, where are we on time? All right, I'm going to wrap this up, or at least start to. So, this is episode 1 of Boomertown Podcast. This isn't what every episode's going to be like. There's many, many, many different kind of topics that I'd like to go over in the future. There's not really much going on right now as far as memes go. Nothing really too interesting, to be honest. That's why we didn't really touch on it today. But yeah, I think this is good. I'm going to try to make this a weekly thing, maybe bi-weekly, bi-monthly. So like every 2 weeks. Is that how you say that? I don't know. Hey, Jamie, pull that up. No, I'm just kidding. There's nobody here. In the meantime, why don't you follow me on Instagram if you're not already? You can search for the Melancholy Walrus. My actual tag or handle is currently, because I've been banned so many times, it's currently Moracolly Wallfuck. That's MORAKOLLY WALLFV as in Victor CK. My backup account is Molly Waterfuck, MOLLY WATERFVCK. Go ahead and follow the Dwayne Clark. I'm going to try to get Dwayne Clark on here as a guest host in the near future. In the meantime, you can follow his account on Instagram. It is Big D Wild 247. So go ahead and look him up. That's Big Dwayne, the man himself. Oh man, that's going to be a clusterfuck when I get him on here. I can't wait. He lives in Utah, but he's supposedly coming down here to Vegas in the next couple of weeks, so we'll try to make that happen. Oh, what else? Special shout out and thank you to my good friends Mackenzie Beckett and MJ Riggins on Instagram as well as on YouTube. They really helped me out as far as giving me that final kick in the ass to get this going, this project, this podcast. And so, yeah, very special thanks to them for their help and assistance and extreme creativity. Check them out on YouTube. They have a channel called Bone Thieves, and it's really cool. I really like their content. Okay, my boomers, my brethren, my comrades. This concludes episode 1 of Boomertown. Don't forget to sharpen your knives, hoard your ammo, stack your grain, stockpile your memes, because a boomer is never unprepared. And you better believe the war is coming. That boomer apocalypse. I pray for the safety of all good people who follow me on Instagram. But we can't expect God to do all the work. Hey,